So look at this thing. Life doesn't make any sense without interdependence. We need each other, and the sooner we learn that, it is better for us all. Erik Erikson. अब ये बहुत आसान है समझने के लिए. You see that while we were doing the moral thinkers unit in our class, and I told you that you have to focus a lot on this unit because 30 marks are on the line. And you can use them in other places as well, like we use David Hume, right? We use the other scholars also wherever they made sense. So you can use them very liberally in your answer writing and they will fetch you an excellent and handsome mark. But the point is most of the aspirants are weak in this 5th unit. इसके लिए इस जो quotation based questions होते हैं वहाँ पे बहुत shallow answer लिखकर वो चले आते हैं और नहीं मिलते marks फिर और इसकी वजह से theory section में overall marks कम हो जाते हैं. But anyhow, let's take a look at this. Life doesn't make any sense without interdependence. We need each other, and the sooner we learn it, it is better for us all. This is given by Erik Erikson. Now, this quotation is all about interdependence. Interdependence simply means depending on each other. It is based on cooperation and coordination rather than conflict and clash. It does not call for exclusivity, rather it calls for inclusivity. That is what interdependence is. Now, few words about Erik Erikson. Erik Erikson, you see that he is a Danish, German, American psychologist and psychoanalyst who has done some pioneering work in development of human psychology. In fact, he is the person who coined the term identity crisis. Identity crisis का मतलब ये है कि what you think of yourself, that who you are, and actually what the realities are indicating towards. There is a clash between them. Like say for example, people in Pakistan often face identity crisis because they draw their lineage from Central Asia, West Asia, etc. But in reality, their origin is in the subcontinent. They are like us and like the Bangladeshis and the Sri Lankans and the Nepalese and the Bhutanese. We are all people of the subcontinent. That's why they have an imagined identity and their real identity speak otherwise. That is identity crisis. Do you understand that? So Erik Erikson is the person who coined this word. Now let us talk about this interdependence. Where we need interdependence. Let us highlight those areas. First, think of family. Do we need interdependence there? Yes, we need, because it promotes cooperation and coordination. It avoids conflict and clashes. Do we need interdependence in society? Yes, we do there as well. Do we need interdependence in education? Like say for example, think of integrated research. Think of biochemistry. Interdependence ही है biology और chemistry का, और biotech engineering. There is an altogether mixture of biology and technology. Do you understand that? So interdisciplinary approach is always better for problem solving. Think of science and technology. Think of defense. Think of all the three forces, the Air Force, the Army and the Navy interacting and interdepending on each other. Then we will have a comprehensive war plan and we'll be able to implement that seamlessly. Do you understand that? So defense में भी interdependence बहुत काम आता है. Think of administration and governance. There also you see interdependence plays a vital role. When one department depends upon the other department, there is checks and balances and there is flow of information. It helps, right, in achieving the overall objectives of the administration or the government. Then think of interdependence in, say, for example, ecology or ecological system, and think of climate change in this regard. Can we fight climate change on our own? We need cooperation from everyone. Think of interdependence in federal arrangements. Think of, say, for example, cooperative federalism. Cooperation का मतलब we are indicating towards interdependence. Think of interdependence in international relations. Think of also interdependence, say, in philosophical approaches. Like, say, for example, if you only believe in deontology or utilitarianism, you might not be able to resolve every ethical problem. So you have to interdepend. You have to draw linkages between all the different political and ethical and economic philosophies. So you need such kind of interdependence even in philosophy in order to come to a right conclusion. You can also think of interdependence in trade and commerce. A great example of interdependence is how the world fought together the coronavirus or its variant COVID-19. So how the world came together, joined hands, and it fought together in eliminating the threat which was emanating from the coronavirus. Now look here, friends, that when we talk about interdependence, we must also talk about some philosophies, some scholars. And one who comes to my mind at this moment is Herbert Spencer. Now, Herbert Spencer is the person who coined the word survival of the fittest. Keep this in mind, it was not Charles Darwin he just gave the theory of origin of species and how species evolve, right, through natural selection. But survival of the fittest, this term was coined by Herbert Spencer, who also happens to be a biologist and philosopher. Herbert Spencer gave a theory, and this theory is known as social Darwinism. Social Darwinism means that, like how in the environment different organisms fight for resources and the fittest organism survives and the weaker ones are eliminated with the passage of time. Similarly, in societies also, different social groups must keep on fighting, or they fight naturally, it is unavoidable, and one which is strongest will come up as victorious. So you see, social Darwinism was used liberally by the Western countries when they were out there for their colonial aspirations. It was also used to justify the Second World War. Social Darwinism is the antithesis of interdependence, what Erik Erikson was saying. Do you understand that? So Herbert Spencer's logic of social Darwinism calls for social confrontation, social clashes, social conflicts, whereas social cooperation, coordination would be the antithesis of this. In fact, Herbert Spencer's thoughts are reverberated in the writings of Friedrich Wilhelm Nietzsche, the German philosopher's concept of will to power. Will to power simply says that every organism and every entity and every country is power hungry. They want to accumulate power, be it soft power, hard power. सबको power चाहिए और इसी के लिए वो conflict में जाते हैं, and that is why social Darwinism is true. In fact, this Friedrich Wilhelm Nietzsche's, who is otherwise also a rational philosopher, though he is also an atheist, you see that it is given, this concept of will to power is given in confrontation or in opposition of Arthur Schopenhauer's, who is another philosopher, Arthur Schopenhauer's will to life, or which is known as Wille zum Leben, also German philosopher, you see, also at times referred to as the Western Buddha, Arthur Scovina. So here you can bring these kind of scholars and further justify your point, right? अब अगर एक सिंपल सा ऐसे जनरल सा एक आंसर लिख कर आ जाओगे जो मतलब जस्ट थ्रो आउट ऑफ द विंडो टाइप का आंसर है, कोई भी फेंक देगा लिख के बाहर, तो आपको मार्क्स नहीं मिलने वाले. Anyhow, friends, so this was all about question number 3. Now I open the floor for your questions. You can ask your questions in and around question number 3. Okay, so Devita has again asked, sir, what if do not know the scholar asked in the question how to proceed then? Can this answer be framed in the context of COVID time situation? Yes, definitely. Suppose you have no knowledge about the scholar, you should not write something which is totally not related. And obviously there are great propensity that that is what the case would be when you have no knowledge about the scholar. Good way would be that you try to interpret that statement, because that's the best possible thing that you can do in the hall, and you try to write what you know or what you can decipher from that statement. Do not add attributes to the scholars which might turn not true going forward. That would be dangerous, right? It would be like you are trying to mislead, and that too in the GS4 question paper. This would be very difficult. Kalin has asked, sir, how to handle questions like 3B if I am not a high degree spiritual person. The same problem arises when UPSC throws such question in essay paper. Now, again, you see, inner peace has nothing to do with spirituality, dear. Yes, spirituality does add to inner peace, but inner peace could also be attained through knowledge. Knowledge can also be a way to attain inner peace. Inner peace can also be got by following Socrates' logic. Socrates said that I am the most intelligent man in Athens because I know that I know nothing. So he was aware about his unawareness, or he was having the knowledge about his, you can say, ignorance. In that way, you see that he was at peace. So it's not necessary that you have to tread through the spiritual path if you want to achieve that thing. Anyhow, Anand has asked, so basically we have to look for keyword in quotation and then expand that work, and how to approach those quotations that are difficult to interpret, such as in essay. Again, Anand, as I said, that it would be better that if you try to decipher the words into the quotation and then try to add attributes to it depending on what you have understood, and you give an ethical touch to it, rather than writing ruggage or anything which is not related, or giving a GS 1, 2, 3 kind of answer which would be totally irrelevant in GS paper 4. तो ये आप कर सकते हो. Anudeep or Anup Suryadeep asking, sir, essay paper we discuss होगा क्या? Well, obviously I'm planning for it, but let's see that how the schedule permits it. Anyhow, friends, so I feel that these are the questions that you have got as far as question number 3 is concerned.